we also need to kind of mention shape expressions on Wikidata, and maybe tell the students, first of all, what it is. What are shape expressions and why they're so important?
Cool. As we were talking about earlier, the quality of the data in Wikidata is really important for us. And that means we need to put editors into a position where they can actually take care of that data in a good way, and where they can ensure that it's modeled in a good way and not vandalized and so on. And shape expressions are one piece of that puzzle. Now, the thing is, Wikidata, as it was developed at the beginning, and as we still want it, because that is important for us, was built with the idea in mind that the world is complex and that we need to have a very flexible system to express that complexity. So you can do a lot of things in Wikidata to describe the world that are maybe a bit weird. So you could give an airplane a shoe size. And now this makes no sense, but Wikidata doesn't prevent you from doing that. Because there is a lot of weird stuff in the world. Like this woman who married the Eiffel Tower. Yes, this happens. And we want to express that. We want to record that. So,
yes, she did.
Yes, she did. So we're trying to find this balance between allowing a lot of freedom and flexibility in modeling the world, but also keeping data quality high. And that is really a tough equilibrium to kind of find. And shape expressions hopefully help us with that. And basically, they are there to define a schema and to define how certain parts of the data should probably look. And then
okay, wait. Before you go on, many of our students might not know what a schema is. So can you open a parenthesis and just quickly explain what that is?
Yeah. So you would, for example, be able to say something like a human should have a date of birth, a place of birth, and should maybe have a place of education, maybe a date of death, and they should maybe have 5 links to other places on the internet, as an example. Or a plant should have data about where you could usually find it, when it's blooming, and who first described it. And that is kind of the schema idea that you have, right, in your head, how you would describe a human or how you would describe a city in data. And shape expressions are basically that, written in a syntax that a machine can understand. And then, based on this, you can look at an item and say, does this item that is about a human match the schema or not? And if it doesn't match, you might want to check why. So, for example, it could be missing a date of birth, and then you could go and fix that. And that is a very powerful and flexible tool to help people keep the data in a good shape and model it consistently.
And I think these are the key words: model it consistently, because even in Wikipedia, I think people can appreciate that some that items from the same type may not look the same or may not have the same structure. I'm not even talking about different languages, but in the same language Wikipedia that you might find an item on a singer that looks like one thing, and then another item on a singer that looks completely differently. And when you start to take that away from Wikipedia and storytelling about people, which is one thing, and Wikipedia, in parentheses, also has its own ways to try to have like best practices of how a good article should look like, although we understand that not everything is perfect and it keeps on growing, etc., etc. But at least we have some kind of sense of what a good item would look like. Then
Yeah.
when we take that into Wikidata and start thinking about items, what we had is the Wild West, basically, because different people
Yeah.
for 7 years modeled items completely differently. Those who might be more familiar with the community might have looked for other items that are
For
similar
example, yeah.
before they modeled their own to try to start the process. But um, in the end, what happened is that we have very different ways to model different items that are from the same family. So we are having modeling issues, right? We have no one consistent way. And I guess what schemas and what shape expressions are here to do is to help the community um, and then machines as well to kind of understand what is the basic
Yeah.
format, or what are the basics that we need to have a good item on a person or on a plant or whatever it would be.
And
So
this consistent modeling is so important if you want to write queries, for example, right? If you sometimes describe a person this way and sometimes that way, it makes it really hard to write a query that gives you a meaningful answer.
no, you've touched on such an important issue, right? The way we model the information, not many people realize it, but you actually need to teach people how to
Yeah.
read the, the results of a query, because the query will basically give you exactly what you asked. But if you
Yes.
don't know exactly how to ask it, then that will affect the results that you get. So schemas, in a sense, will influence once it's
Yeah.
really there and working and people use it for a couple of years or more.
Yeah.
It will start affecting the results that we get when we query things, which is huge, right? Because we did not get all the answers when we ask a question, just because the information is modeled in a different way by different people.
Right.
So, and there is no way for that to happen.